Chapter 021. You are listening at novelfold.audio. The remnants of the demon clan must be wiped out. Here, thick with demonic energy, an unsettling silence hung in the air. Dozens of demons, each grotesque and unique, were packed together, eyes closed, absorbed in their demonic practices. None of them noticed Su Chuan sneaking in. Seeing this, Su Chuan just shook his head. Demons are supposed to be cautious, so why were the ones in this trial tower so different? They weren't just lacking vigilance, they were blatantly practicing their dark arts in broad daylight, practically begging for it. Anyone who stumbled upon this demon gathering would hunt them down, even without a mission, because everyone in Shantian continent was rewarded for killing demons, a rule passed down through generations. Most of the demons in this training ground were at the 4th or 5th level of Naki, only a few leaders had reached the 6th. Su Chuan could handle them all easily. Without hesitation, he swung his sword, decapitating the demon nearest the door. Then, he moved quickly through the crowd, his blade flashing before they could react. He systematically slaughtered every demon there, leaving no one alive. They never even knew what hit them. Deeper within the demon settlement, a middle-aged man who looked remarkably human emerged from his dwelling after finishing his training. He glanced around, a puzzled expression on his face. Why weren't there any demons patrolling? Were they all practicing? Something's not right. He frowned, a sudden sense of unease prickling at his intuition. Then, as if something clicked, his expression changed drastically, and he raced towards the tribe's training ground. The faint scent of blood in the air confirmed his fears. Even if he had been a fool, he would have known something was terribly wrong. When he arrived at the training ground and witnessed the carnage, his eyes blazed with fury. How dare some punk barge in here and wreak havoc on my demon tribe? Come out and face me. His enraged roar echoed through the mountains, his aura exploding and leveling the training ground. That's some serious power. Su Chuan watched from the shadows, impressed. Name, Lu Liang. Realm, 1st level of mortal transformation. Due to the forced fusion of the lotus seeds, his real power is barely equivalent to the 7th level of Naki. Talent, 1 in 100. Fate, human demonic hybrid. Red, anathema to heaven and earth. White. Life script, the life of the little demon leader. Opportunity, none. Human demon hybrid, possesses the appearance of a human, but with the blood of a demon coursing through his veins. He can practice both human and demon skills and martial arts. Anathema to heaven and earth, bearing the blood of two conflicting races, he is rejected by both realms and will face obstacles in everything he does. Su Chuan observed his information carefully. This had to be the leader of these demons. His realm was impressive, a 1st level of mortal transformation. No wonder he had such presence. But then again, his current power was only at the 7th level of Naki. That gave Su Chuan some relief. If he hadn't been weakened, Su Chuan would have had to retreat and wait for Su Chen to arrive before engaging. But at the 7th level of Naki, he might actually have a chance. Su Chuan was surprised by Lu Liang's fate. He was a human-demon hybrid, a forbidden bloodline. No wonder he had struggled so long to refine the lotus seed of creation. Meanwhile, Lu Liang, still searching for the killer, continued his rampage, hoping to draw Su Chuan out. Ironically, it was this indiscriminate destruction that led him to Su Chuan's hiding place. He unleashed a palm strike, hoping to catch Su Chuan off guard and kill him instantly, but Su Chuan wasn't about to give him that chance. Without hesitation, he swung his god-killing sword. The razor-sharp blade, imbued with intense killing intent, collided with Lu Liang's palm. Clang! The impact of sword and palm echoed, sending vibrations through Su Chuan's god-killing sword. Lu Liang stared in disbelief at his bleeding hand. He couldn't believe that a kid with only the 4th level of Naki could break through his defense. He had spent years mastering Vitra palm, turning his hands into near-indestructible weapons. Not even an 8th level Naki warrior could hope to penetrate his defenses, yet this kid had done it. Lu Liang was terrified, due to the backlash from fusing with the lotus seed of creation. His current power was only at the 7th level of Naki. Even so, he believed his iron palms, capable of splitting mountains, could crush a 9th level Naki warrior. But this young warrior had broken through his defenses with a single sword strike, nearly severing his hand. The strength was astonishing. Now he understood how his men had been slaughtered silently. I have no quarrel with you. Why did you kill my people? Realizing he was outmatched, Lu Liang tried to appeal to Su Chuan's humanity, hoping to find an opportunity to strike. I'm a disciple of the Holy Land. Demons like you are enemies of all, Su Chuan declared coldly, revealing his identity before continuing his relentless assault. He had to strike while he had the advantage. Lu Liang paled after hearing Su Chuan's words. How had he been exposed? He thought he had hidden his true nature perfectly. But he knew one thing, when a demon's identity was revealed, a fight to the death was inevitable. The reward for killing demons in Xiantian continent was a serious incentive, not just some empty promise. Since my identity is exposed, you must die today. Lu Liang knew Su Chuan would not let him live, so he would not go down without a fight. His face contorted with rage as he channeled his energy and pushed his demonic skills to their limit, charging toward Su Chuan, but Su Chuan remained unfazed. He unleashed the full power of the Scarlet Blood Sword technique, the terrifying Dao Gang, imbued with unstoppable momentum, pierced directly towards Lu Liang's heart. The power of this strike was overwhelming, far beyond Lu Liang's ability to resist. Before he even touched the blade, the sword energy sliced through the flesh and bone of both hands, exposing the white bone beneath. Seeing the blade coming, he tried to dodge, but before he could react, the sword had already ripped through his chest. Poof! With a sickening thud, his heart was torn to shreds by the sword energy, along with his other internal organs. His eyes wide with disbelief, he clutched his chest before collapsing. In the end, like the other demons, his body dissolved into a pool of foul-smelling liquid. At least demons had that going for them, instant cremation, and with that, the little boss was no more. Chapter 022. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Getting the fortune lotus seed, the whole tribe was deserted. Su Chuan had wiped out every single demon. The silence was deafening, but Su Chuan didn't care. All he wanted was to find where Lu Liang had hidden the lotus seeds. He headed straight for Lu Liang's place. Inside, a row of shelves caught his eye, lined with small boxes. He opened one. Inside were about 1,000 low-grade yuan stones, probably what the demons used to fuel their practice, besides chowing down on human warriors. These demons also needed yuan stones to hone their skills, but it looked like this bunch wasn't living large. 1,000 yuan stones for dozens of demons. Tight budget. Another box held a collection of random elixirs, nothing special. Probably swiped from the disciples who wandered in for the trial. The last box had 2 cheap books. One was called Blood Refining Dafa. Judging by the name, it was some dark magic. The other, Vajra Palm, was probably that palm technique Lu Liang had used. Mastering it supposedly made your palms as hard as iron. Sounded impressive, but it was only a mid-grade yellow rank skill. Nothing to write home about. Su Chuan curled his lip and tossed everything into his storage ring. He instantly destroyed the magic power. Trash like this was only good for demons. Even if it was garbage, he wasn't about to let it spread and cause trouble. Better to just destroy it. He took another look around, finding nothing else of interest. He turned to leave, but then he noticed a lump under the bed covers. He pulled back the covers to reveal a brown paper book. Su Chuan picked it up and started reading carefully. He had a feeling this book held the clues he was looking for. He flipped to the first page. Xiantian calendar, year 315. Finally, the demon ancestor recognized me. The demon blood in my veins has awakened, and I've become a low-level boss in the Xiantian continent's demon clan. The demon ancestor even gave me a magic trick. He promised the clan's return to Xiantian would make me a big shot. I believe I'll reach the top. Xiantian calendar, year 320. 5 years on, I've found 12 people with demon blood. They're loyal and important to our clan. They'll shine when our clan returns. Xiantian calendar, year 330. I had a plan. I led my men to disguise as humans and go on a rampage of burning, killing, and looting. But I was caught by Holy Land and imprisoned in the trial tower. Inside, I kept recruiting more demons and built a huge tribe. One day, I'll lead them out of this tower and back to Xiantian continent. Xiantian calendar, year 332. Today, I killed a Tai disciple and got my hands on a colorful lotus seed. I feel drawn to it. It must be a treasure. I'm keeping it for myself. With it, I'll definitely break through. An idea came to me. the blood in my veins is the rare space demon blood. If I can just reach the magical realm, I can wake my clan. With my innate magic, I can lead the entire demon tribe out of this tower. So, I'm hoarding cultivation resources for my own cultivation while trying to refine this mysterious lotus seed. But I underestimated the fact that I'm a human-demon hybrid. In this trial tower, I'm being suppressed even harder. My cultivation just won't break through, and I can't refine the lotus seed. I got anxious and tried to force the issue, but it backfired. The lotus seed hit back, and now I'm stuck in the tribe, recovering. Chuan finished the book in no time. Turns out, it was Lu Liang's diary. Who knew a middle-aged demon would keep a diary? But from it, Chuan learned where the lotus seeds came from. And he had a pretty good idea of where they were hidden. According to this diary, there's a secret room in here. Looks like I need to do a bit more digging. Chuan muttered, the room wasn't big, so finding a secret room shouldn't be too hard. If he could find it, he'd be set. Alright, let's get searching. Chuan took a deep breath and gave the room a thorough once-over. Meanwhile, up on the 10th floor, Su Chen and his crew were fighting an 8th-level Qi demonic beast. The new recruits made it much easier to handle. Just as he was about to strike the final blow, he felt a sudden pang in his heart, like something really important was about to slip away. He lost focus for a second, and his movements faltered. The beast took advantage of it and slammed into Su Chen, leaving him injured and coughing up blood. Back with Su Chuan, after searching for a while, he finally found the secret room switch on the bedside. As soon as the door clicked open, a rush of powerful energy hit him, startling him. This is the place. Without hesitation, Su Chuan stepped into the secret room. It was empty, just a floating, colorful lotus seed and a meditation cushion. The room's rich energy was coming from the lotus seed. Seeing this, Su Chuan grinned. Jackpot, it was the fortune lotus seed, the goal of his whole trip. After all this, I finally found you. Su Chuan breathed a sigh of relief, excited. The fortune lotus seed was a rare treasure. Throughout Xiantian continent's history, anyone who integrated with it became a powerful martial arts master. If this thing was out in the open, people would fight tooth and nail for it. Even the Holy Land lords might be interested. Today, I'm going to use this to change my destiny. Su Chuan roared inwardly. Even with his once-in-a-lifetime talent, he was still nothing compared to the real geniuses. If he wanted to become a top-tier powerhouse, he needed to improve his cultivation potential and destiny first. And today, this fortune lotus seed was going to give him that chance. Once he integrated it, Su Chuan would dominate this assessment. After becoming an inner disciple, he could aim for the position of a true disciple. This was a game changer. Without hesitation, he followed the system's instructions and swallowed the colorful lotus seed whole. The second it was in his mouth, it turned into a surge of heat that rushed through every inch of his body. Chapter 023. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The vision was intense, a fusion with lotus seeds. Inside Su Chuan's chest, a ball of fiery energy churned like a raging storm. An indescribable sensation washed over him, and wisps of white smoke curled from his body. Su Chuan knew this was the result of the fortune lotus seeds beginning to merge with him. He sat cross-legged, closed his eyes, and began refining the energy. As time passed, Su Chuan could clearly feel the changes occurring within his body. His blood boiled, roaring like thunder, shaking the very ground beneath him. His potential was also undergoing a radical transformation. This was the magic of the fortune lotus seeds. From the moment they started fusing, Su Chuan's body began its evolution. A day later, the fortune lotus seeds had completely integrated into Su Chuan's core, becoming one with him. Suddenly, a magnificent aura shot skyward, blasting out of the trial tower. Boom! The world shifted on its axis. The outer disciples undergoing assessment in the tower witnessed the most unforgettable spectacle of their lives. Countless beams of light shot into the sky, weaving together in a dazzling display. Then, an image of a massive sun materialized, its blazing light flooding every level of the trial tower. The awe-inspiring power emanating from this sun inspired a sense of reverence and inviolability. Monsters and demons below the 10th floor were overwhelmed by the aura, collapsing to the ground. Paralyzed with fear, as for Su Chuan, he was enveloped in vibrant colors, constantly refreshed by Taoist magic. Meanwhile, outside the tower, the three inner sect elders also noticed the terrifying phenomenon occurring within the tower, their expressions changing dramatically. A sun protects the body, a heavenly voice appears, a peerless talent is born. Elder Li Hong's jaw dropped. He'd never witnessed anything like this in his life. Only outer disciples are participating in the trial tower right now. Who could have caused this? Elder Li Hong wondered aloud. Even they couldn't see everything that was happening inside the tower, so they were in the dark. Could it be Su Chen? Elder Jinlai suggested, although Su Chen was a bit arrogant, which rubbed him the wrong way, but, in all fairness, Su Chen was among the most talented disciples participating in this year's outer exam. That was why Elder Jinlai wondered if Su Chen was behind this vision. Alright, stop guessing. You two stay here and guard the tower. I'll report this to the Holy Master and let him decide what to do. The third elder, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. The mention of the Holy Master's name silenced the other two instantly. With that, he transformed into a streak of light and sped toward the Holy Master's location. Only he was worthy of meeting the Holy Master in person. The other two elders didn't have that privilege. At the same time, in a grand hall deep within the Holy Land, the Holy Master of Tai Holy Land opened his eyes. His aura was terrifying, godlike, and incredibly powerful. He seemed to be waiting for something, simply sitting in the hall. Holy Master, the trial tower. The elder's voice echoed from outside the hall. That's enough, I already know. Go inform the peak masters of each peak to come to the hall for a meeting. Before the elder could finish, the Holy Master cut him off and issued the order. Yes. The voice faded, and the hall fell silent once more. Shortly after, the peak masters of the Tai Holy Land hurried to the main hall after hearing the news. Welcome the Holy Master from seclusion. The peak masters bowed respectfully, then stood and waited for the Holy Master's command. The Holy Master nodded in acknowledgement, then spoke softly, a peerless genius has been born in the trial tower. Send someone to investigate. If necessary, make an exception and accept him as a true disciple. With a vision like this, the person must be extraordinary. Yes. The peak masters bowed respectfully, then turned and left to carry out the Holy Master's orders, but Su Chuan was unaware of any of this. At this moment, he was lost in the blissful sensation brought on by the fortune lotus seeds. It was indescribable. He felt completely enraptured. From the outside, a faint Taoist charm surrounded his body, and the shadow of the great sun stood guard behind him. The life force of the surrounding world seemed to be drawn to him, rushing towards him with incredible force. In the sky, the life force spun rapidly, creating a vortex of pure energy. Su Chuan was at the center of the storm. With the influx of energy, his cultivation level soared. 5th level of the Naki realm, 6th level of the Naki realm, 7th level of the Naki realm. In the blink of an eye, Su Chuan's cultivation had broken through to the 9th level of the Qi Nai realm. If it weren't for the limitations of the Xianyang Ju technique, he might have reached the mortal realm in one fell swoop. Despite this rapid progress, his foundation remained strong. On the contrary, with the help of the fortune lotus seeds, his foundation became even more solid. Even the great sun physique created by the Xianyang Ju was growing more powerful. When he could no longer improve his cultivation, Su Chuan finally stopped his practice. The visions gradually faded as he stopped, as if they'd never happened. Finally, the fusion is complete. Su Chuan examined himself, a satisfied smile spreading across his face. The fortune lotus seeds hadn't disappointed him. After the fusion, he could clearly feel the changes in the life force of the surrounding world. His mind had become exceptionally clear. He had struggled to grasp even the basics of cultivation before, but now he felt like he had suddenly understood everything. And all the pieces had fallen into place. He could even perceive the Taoist harmony that existed between heaven and earth. He'd never been able to do that before. From now on, he wouldn't face any obstacles before reaching the heavenly realm. As long as he cultivated step by step, he'd surely become a powerful figure in the Tongtian realm. Feeling the changes brought on by the fortune lotus seeds, Su Chuan felt immense joy and gratitude from the bottom of his heart. He reopened the system to check his stats. They'd undergone a massive transformation. Name, Su Chuan. Realm, 9th level of Naki realm. Talent, Invincible King. Fate, change your destiny against the sky. Gold. Life script, you have embarked on the road to change your destiny against the sky, and your life is no longer fixed. The future is now difficult to predict. Opportunity cannot be seen clearly. Chuan's talent had jumped straight to invincible, just 2 levels away from the system's peak talent level. His original fate line of bad luck had transformed into change of destiny, and a gold-tier fate at that. The life script and opportunity sections were now obscured. Chuan considered the information, a thoughtful expression on his face. The changes brought on by the fortune lotus seeds were clearly significant, as evidenced by the system information. The changes in talent and fate were within his expectations. As for opportunities and life scripts, these 2 things could change at any moment due to fate, so it was hard to know what the future held. Now, he possessed the kind of power that transmigrators dream of. His previous image was gone. Chapter 024. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter, Securing Power and Snatching the True Spirit Fruit, *boom, star. Another monster bit the dust under his blade. After wiping out the demon horde, Chuan didn't immediately rush to the 11th level. Instead, he doubled back to the 10th, hunting down more monsters. This was his 5th kill. He wanted to solidify his recent breakthrough through combat, but these monsters below the mortal realm were pushovers. They practically handed over their demon cores. No fun at all. Pocketing the core, Chuan was about to head up when he overheard a couple of voices. "Hey, I heard someone found a true spirit fruit." "Really? Who told you that?" "My brother messaged me. Someone discovered a true spirit fruit tree loaded with fruit. Everyone on the 10th level is scrambling for it. Then I'm going to check it out, maybe I can snag one." Chuan's ears perked up. He appeared in front of the 2, stopping them in their tracks. "This true spirit fruit, is it true?" he asked solemnly. If it was real, the 11th level could wait. "Yeah, it's true. Word's getting around. If you don't hurry, you'll miss out." Annoyed at being stopped, they spoke impatiently and rushed off. Chuan let them go, lost in thought. True spirit fruit was incredible. One fruit stabilized the soul and boosted spiritual power. More could even condense true soul seeds, laying the foundation for awakening martial arts potential. An amazing asset for any warrior. No wonder they were hyped. Even Chuan felt a surge of excitement. After a moment of consideration, he decided to investigate. A treasure like that would be guarded by powerful monsters. No matter if all the outer disciples on the 10th level were running towards it, they might not beat the guardian, and could get killed in the attempt. With his current strength, he could benefit from their fight. With his mind made up, Chuan quietly trailed the 2. They arrived at a canyon. Hundreds of outer sect disciples had gathered on either side, with more arriving all the time. In the center stood a fruit tree covered in light yellow fruits, true spirit fruits. Any minute now, they would turn from light yellow to red, then, they would be fully ripe. But beneath the tree, a massive white ape guarded the prize. To get the fruit, they would have to beat the ape. No easy task. Chuan realized this ape was a level 3 mortal transformation realm monster. Normally, there shouldn't be any monster over level 1 of the mortal transformation realm on the 10th level, but this ape was an exception. Chuan watched from the shadows, observing the tense atmosphere, the palpable tension, and the powder keg feeling. One spark and the whole place would blow. That spark came, vitality surged, drawn to the true spirit fruit. The fruit deepened in color, almost red, one step from full ripeness. The true spirit fruit's about to mature. "Grab it, *boom, star. *roar, star," someone yelled, and chaos erupted. Disciples charged into the canyon, reckless. The white ape roared at the invaders. Awakened by the noise, war had begun, and warriors rushed towards the true spirit fruit tree as if they didn't care about their lives. "Kill!" One warrior brandished a long sword, transforming into a streak of light, going straight for the white ape. Only by taking down the ape could they get the fruit. Boom! The attack poured down on the ape, but it didn't flinch. It pulled out a staff made of some unknown material. The staff became a blur, deflecting attacks. Roar! The white ape roared, wielding the staff. The weapon made it more dangerous than before. With each swing, outer disciples were sent flying, coughing up blood. "Careful! This white ape is strong." The first attacker looked grim, he had underestimated the ape, and now they were paying the price, but there was no turning back. Together. We have to kill it, he roared, channeling his energy. He slashed his sword, and a fire dragon erupted from the blade. The heat radiated outward, distorting the air, boom, the sword crashed against the ape's staff, creating a violent explosion. Other warriors seized the moment and attacked. Blinding light filled the canyon, and Chuan couldn't see what was happening. When the light faded, the attackers were kneeling, badly injured. The white ape wasn't in great shape either. Despite its power, it couldn't withstand the siege. There was a hole in its chest, and blood trickled from its mouth. It was seriously wounded. The warriors saw their chance. A little recovery, another push, and the ape would go down. But then, a twist, Chuan arrived with his entourage, swaggering in. Ha ha ha, perfect timing. Looks like this true spirit fruit is meant for me. And I'm not one to refuse. Chuan declared the fruit his, dismissing the other disciples. Outrage rippled through the crowd, but they were helpless. The battle had exhausted them, leaving them injured and drained. They were no match for Chuan. Besides, Chuan had backup. They could only watch as Chuan and his crew approached the true spirit fruit tree. Chapter 025. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Like a praying mantis stalking a cicada, unaware of the aureole behind it, the white ape couldn't let Chuan just waltz off with the true spirit fruit. Ignoring its injuries, it swung its massive club at Chuan. Roar! The white ape channeled all its fury into that swing, its club a blur of destruction across the canyon. The force of the blows scattered the other disciples like bowling pins before crashing down on Chuan. Dust billowed, obscuring everything. For a moment, a cruel grin stretched across the ape's face, but the victory was short-lived. The scene shifted dramatically. As the dust settled, Chuan stood unscathed. The white ape's club lay in pieces, neatly sliced through by Chuan's blade. Is this enough strength to take the true spirit fruit? Chuan, displaying some sudden burst of power, had somehow jumped to the third level of the mortal transformation realm. He struck, and the already wounded ape was sent crashing to the ground with another blow. Ignoring the downed ape and the other disciples scattered around, Chuan reached for the ripe true spirit fruit. Hold up! A voice cut through the air. I want that true spirit fruit. Chuan strode forward, interrupting Chuan's grab. Chuan, surprised that anyone would dare challenge him, turned to see who the loudmouth was. The injured disciples, spotting a potential savior, also looked towards the newcomer with a glimmer of hope, but when they recognized Chuan, their hope quickly died. Everyone knew Chuan only had the strength of the fourth level of the Naki realm. Chuan was on another level. Chuan didn't stand a chance. Well, if it isn't you, Chuan said with a smirk. He'd been looking for an excuse to put Chuan in his place, and now the guy had just handed him one. This is too good to be true. I didn't have to come looking for you, you just brought yourself right here to me. Alright, let's see what you've got. Chuan's face was serious now. Chuan didn't reply, but the yuan power in his body began to churn, like a coiled spring. They both knew a fight was inevitable if they were going to get the fruit. Besides, Chuan had been itching to test his skills against this chosen one anyway. Chuan took the initiative, exploding into motion and whipping his sword in a dazzling display. Jing Yun, a blast of sword energy shot out, aimed directly at Chuan. Nice swordsmanship. Chuan couldn't help but admire. Any other outer disciple, even at the same level, would be hard-pressed to withstand that attack, but Chuan was undeterred, a fierce excitement igniting in his eyes. He'd been craving a worthy opponent. Chuan, the third-level mortal realm destined one, was perfect. As the energy hurtled towards him, Chuan stayed calm, sidestepping the attack and closing the distance to Chuan. He drew his sword and struck. The clash of steel echoed through the canyon, sparks flying. The first round ended in a stalemate. The onlookers were stunned. They'd assumed the difference in power would make this a one-sided beatdown, not an even match. Got some guts, huh? I guess that's why you thought you could get away with that stunt. Chuan had to admit, Chuan was proving to be more formidable than he anticipated. But that was about to end. This is it. Sword opens the heavenly gate. Su Chen's sword glowed, the air crackling with energy, as a deafening roar filled the air. Die, the energy released, plummeting toward Su Chuan, a smug grin spread across Su Chen's face. He already saw victory. All right. Let me show you my killing sword technique, Su Chuan roared, unleashing the full force of the Xianyang Ju, covering himself in a blinding golden light. From afar, he looked like a miniature sun. This was the true power of Xianyang Ju. In battle, it transformed the user into the sun, burning away all opposition. Only those at the 9th level of the Naki realm could even attempt this technique. With a mighty heave, Su Chuan unleashed a wave of sword energy tinged with golden light, colliding head-on with Su Chen's attack. Boom! 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 The moment they met, Su Chen's energy faltered, while Su Chuan's surged. In the blink of an eye, Su Chen's sword energy was extinguished, devoured completely by Su Chuan's. The attack hurtled straight for a stunned Su Chen. How is that possible? Su Chen couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe his ultimate move had been countered so easily. The energy turned against him, boosting his opponent. He stood frozen, defenseless against the onslaught. Damn it, by the time he snapped back to reality, it was too late to dodge. He couldn't block the blow. Desperate, he crushed his mission token and vanished from the trial tower. Su Chuan, was it? This isn't over between us. With those words, Su Chen bailed, abandoning his brothers on the ground. Buzz, the killing god's sword vibrated. The remaining disciples looked on in stunned silence. Was this guy for real? Was he really just another outer disciple? Su Chuan ignored them, turning his attention back to the true spirit fruit. Su Chen had cut and run, which meant the fruit was his for the taking. With a wave of his hand, dozens of true spirit fruits tumbled into Su Chuan's storage ring, but the severely wounded white ape still had something left. Roar! Humans, you will die. The ape, in a voice filled with fury and murderous intent, spoke clearly in human language. Then, the ape's broken body began to swell rapidly, a violent red light ignited in its eyes, and its power exploded, returning it to its peak condition. No, it's going to blow itself up. Su Chuan recognized the signs, his expression twisting in alarm as he scrambled back. He wasn't sure he could survive the white ape's self-destruction at full strength. The other disciples also realized what was happening and panicked. Those who could, retreated up another level in the trial. The rest cut their losses and called it quits. Soon, Su Chuan and the white ape were the only ones left in the canyon. Boom! The white ape reached critical mass. A devastating explosion ripped through the air, creating a storm of energy. The ground disintegrated, and the true spirit fruit tree was annihilated. Su Chuan, caught in the blast, was instantly turned into a bloody mess. Chapter 026. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Breaking through several levels, the elder was stunned. Ahem. After the explosion, Su Chuan coughed up blood. The white ape's self-destruction packed a serious punch. The energy wave left him bruised and battered. He was a mess. If he hadn't toughened up his physique beforehand, he'd be crippled for life. If not dead, then, the powerful energy within Su Chuan's body kicked in, rapidly repairing the damage. His wounds healed at an astonishing rate. Before long, the surface wounds were gone, leaving not a single scar. Only internal injuries remained, and those would take time to mend. Picking up his long knife, which had been blown away, Su Chuan gripped it tightly. Looking at the ravaged landscape before him, he grinned. Fortune favors the bold, they say. The old guys knew what they were talking about. The fight had not only helped him adjust to the 9th level of Naki realm. In the life-or-death struggle, he'd even started to grasp the killing knife technique that had been a mystery before. It was only a start, but still, it had been enough to run Su Chen ragged. Next, time to push through this tower. But if he wanted to grab the attention of the inner sect elders and score cultivation resources, he had to crush this tower and take the top spot in the outer sect assessment. That was the only way he'd reach his goal. On the 11th floor of the trial tower, Su Chuan found himself in a primeval forest. He scanned the area carefully. Even the 10th floor had monsters at the 3rd level of mortal realm. This level was sure to be tougher. The forest was eerily silent, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Su Chuan sensed something behind him. watching him. He whirled around, and his eyes lit up. A black panther had crept up behind him. Its strength at the 4th level of mortal realm made him tense. This panther's trouble. Wary, Chuan didn't rush in. Black panthers were natural predators, incredibly fast, and the environment suited them perfectly. Chuan felt the threat radiating from the panther. Roared up. The panther growled softly, pacing slowly, sizing up Chuan. Whoosh! Chuan moved first. He knew he had to take the initiative or risk a drawn-out fight. He lunged with his knife, but the panther roared and pounced to meet him, man and beast, ready to clash. But the black panther wasn't fast enough for Chuan's blade. The killing knife flashed. A burst of energy ripped through the air. Pfft! Ow! Chuan's knife struck the panther. With a pained cry, it dropped dead. A flash of white light signaled that Chuan had cleared the 11th floor. Keep going. Without pausing, Chuan sped up. Only Chuan and Chen remained above the 10th floor. Chuan had just taken down the panther, and Chen had killed a tiger. They were neck and neck, but Chen seemed increasingly desperate. His strength came from forbidden techniques, and it wouldn't last. He had to get as far as possible while he could. Only then could he secure first place in the assessment. Remembering his 2 previous failures, Chen gritted his teeth. Chuan, you're going down, he muttered, his face dark. He loathed Chuan with every fiber of his being. 15th floor. Chuan pushed himself hard, clearing 4 floors to reach the 15th. This floor was different. He found himself in a gladiatorial arena, and facing him was an exact copy of himself. The difference? It was stronger. At the 7th level of transformation, Chuan's face hardened. Whoosh! The figure lunged, long knife in hand. The air shimmered with sword light. It was faster than Chuan. Zheng! Chuan acted fast, killing knife technique, overdrive. With each strike, the power of the last was added to the next, increasing his speed. It was terrifying. The figure was fast and strong, but it only knew basic slashes. Soon, Chuan's superior skills were overwhelming it. Reaching the limit, Chuan slashed, and the blade cut through the figure. The copy vanished, and the 15th floor was cleared. Exhausted, Chuan collapsed, panting. Overdrive put a huge strain on his body. He needed time to recover after each use. Outside the tower, the elders stared wide-eyed at the light on the 16th floor. Someone cleared the 15th level in the Naki realm. They couldn't believe it. Not since 1,000 years ago had anyone broken through to the 15th level in the Naki realm. That person was now a peak lord of Tai Holy Land. And now, someone had done it again. Who could it be? Both wondered. Only Chuan and Chen are left in the tower. Who cleared the 15th floor? Elderly Hong asked in surprise. It has to be Chen. He's at the 7th level of the Qinai realm, and Chuan's only at the 4th. You know how tough the 15th floor is. Could a 4th level even do it? Elder Jinlai said confidently. He didn't know that Chuan had reached the 9th level. I agree. Elderly Hong nodded, but as they spoke, the runes on the tower flickered, and someone was ejected. Elderly Hong smiled. Look, Chuan's showing. His voice died. It wasn't Chuan, but Chen, the one they expected. The 16th floor was still lit. Chuan had cleared the 15th floor. Suddenly, Elder Jinlai shouted, drawing everyone's attention. Look, Chuan's cleared the 16th floor. What? Elderly Hong stared in disbelief. Someone had indeed reached the 17th floor. Chen realized in that moment that first place was gone. He'd lost, completely. Overwhelmed by the loss, his eyes turned red. A dark aura rose from him. Why? Why couldn't I even get past the 15th, but he makes it to the 16th? This isn't fair. Chuan's success shattered his pride. Chapter 027. You are listening at novelfull.audio. First place and a new record in the tower. Man, that was tough. Chuan couldn't crack the 17th floor. He had to throw in the towel and got zapped back outside the trial tower. I didn't expect a magical fox demon and a bunch of regular fox demons to be waiting for me on the 17th floor. That's a battle I'm not ready for. He shook his head, putting it behind him, making it to the 17th floor pretty much guaranteed him the top spot in the assessment anyway. Greetings, elders, Su Chuan bowed to Li Hong and Jean Lai. You did great, Jean Lai was all praise, he didn't even seem to notice Su Chen beside him, who was looking like a thundercloud. Thanks for the compliment, elder, Su Chuan didn't get cocky because of the praise. He kept it cool, which impressed the elders even more. Alright, everyone's out now, so the assessment's officially over. Let's head back. But with that, the two elders whisked Su Chuan and Su Chen back to Tai Square. All the other disciples who'd taken the assessment, along with the spectators, had been waiting there for ages. As soon as the four of them showed up, the square buzzed with chatter. Everyone was debating who'd made it further up the trial tower. Even though Su Chuan had beaten Su Chen on the 10th floor, Su Chen hadn't been seriously hurt. On the other hand, Su Chuan had taken the brunt of the white ape's explosion at the end. It was hard to imagine he hadn't been injured in a blast like that, so, everyone was super curious about the final results. Then, Elder Jean Lai and Elder Li Hong went over to the elder who'd left earlier and whispered in his ear. After a short wait, the elder nodded seriously and stepped forward. This was Zhou Heng, the head elder of the inner sect. A powerhouse at the peak of the 9th level of the reincarnation realm, he was the top dog among all the peak masters. I hereby declare that this outer sect examination is concluded. He announced gravely from the platform. The noisy disciples went silent instantly. Seeing this, Elder Zhou Heng softened his expression. Then, he said loudly, "Congratulations. You've all successfully completed this assessment. Anyone who cleared the 10th floor of the trial tower will be promoted to inner disciple." In this assessment, a total of 300 people made it past the 2nd level, clearing the 10th floor. 20 people made it past the 11th floor. And out of those 20, 2 made it past the 14th floor. But one person even cleared the 17th floor of the tower, breaking the record for entering the Qi realm set 1,000 years ago and setting a new one. Whoa, that the crowd erupted. 17th floor with Naki realm strength? What kind of monster was that? The disciples who hadn't participated in the assessment were completely stunned, and the ones who had taken the assessment were even more floored. They knew how tough the trial tower was. Just reaching the 10th floor had knocked out most people, let alone the 17th. Right away, they started guessing whether it was Su Chuan or Su Chen who'd made it to the 17th floor. To be honest, they were hoping it was Su Chuan. Su Chen's earlier attempts to steal the wins had rubbed everyone the wrong way. Some disciples were ready to tear him apart if they couldn't beat him. Everyone had a shot at a true spirit fruit, but Su Chen had tried to hog them all. Su Chuan had ended up with the fruits, but he'd earned them by taking them from Su Chen fair and square. No one held that against him. Some were even grateful to Su Chuan, because Su Chuan had stopped Su Chen. I'm sure you're all dying to know who reached the 17th floor, so I won't keep you in suspense. The one who cleared the 17th floor is Su Chuan. He's the top dog in this assessment. Boom! The square went wild. Some were shocked, some were happy, and some were wearing serious frowns. Luo Tong was also in the crowd. He knew Su Chuan was taking the outer sect exam, so he'd come to check out Su Chuan's real strength so he could figure out a way to off him, but he never thought Su Chuan would break through to the 17th floor. He immediately scrapped his revenge plans. He was only at the 2nd level of mortal transformation. He tried his hand at the trial tower, but had only made it to the 11th floor before hitting a wall. Su Chuan clearing the 17th floor meant he was seriously powerful, way out of Luo Tong's league. Su Chuan was unfazed by the crowd's reaction. Winning the outer examination had been his goal all along. Now that he'd nailed it, he was setting his sights on even bigger things. Alright, Elder Zhou Heng waved his hand, and the square went silent again, waiting for Elder Zhou Heng to continue. Su Chuan has broken the record for entering the tower in the Naki realm. According to the rules of our Holy Land, Su Chuan will be promoted to true disciple of the Holy Land. Boom. If the earlier news was a small rockslide, this was a major earthquake, shaking every disciple there to their core. A true disciple. Su Chuan was skipping over inner disciple and head disciple. straight to true disciple. That was a fast track to the top. Some disciples snapped out of it and said, "Greetings, true disciple Su." That sparked a chain reaction, and more disciples joined in, shouting the greeting. Even Su Chuan was a little stunned. He hadn't expected such a crazy reward for making it to the 17th floor of the trial tower. He'd been dreaming about being a true disciple, and now it was actually happening. Su Chuan was overjoyed and thanked Zhou Heng. "Thank you, Elder Zhou. Don't mention it. You earned it." That he was also thrilled with Su Chuan's performance. Then he went on, "All those promoted to the inner sect will be rewarded with a solid yuan pill. You can pick it up at the Elixir Hall with your inner sect ID. This outer sect assessment is officially done. I hope that the disciples who didn't make it this time will go back and train hard so they can shine in the next assessment." That amidst cheers, Johann announced the end of the assessment. The disciples who were promoted to the inner sect happily headed to the Holy Land's inner sect, while those who hadn't made the cut went back to their digs to buckle down and train. They'd learned a lot from the competition. They'd definitely nail the inner gate in the next go-around. Su Chen, on the other hand, was a wreck. He was in total disbelief. If he'd just gotten past the 16th level, he could have been a true disciple. Why couldn't I just hang on? If I'd just hung on, I could have cleared the 16th floor and made it to the 17th. Then the true disciple spot would be mine. Su Chuan. Su Chuan stole my true disciple spot. It's all his fault. It's all his fault. Su Chen was like a lost puppy, slumped on the ground, ignored by everyone. Under Su Chuan's spotlight, his second-place finish looked pretty pathetic. Elder Li Hong, who'd been so high on him, shook his head silently when he saw Su Chen's condition. He was seriously disappointed. Chapter 028. You are listening at novelfull.audio. All the different departments were vying to have Su Chuan as a disciple. Meanwhile, Su Chuan followed Elder Zhou Heng to the Holy Land's main peak. This peak sat right at the heart of the Holy Land. It looked like some powerful being had chopped off the top, leaving it perfectly flat. The summit was huge, with a single, magnificent palace standing on it. At the entrance, a massive stone tablet was inscribed with the characters Tai. Just a glance at it was enough to pull Su Chuan into a deep, trance-like state. "Snap out of it!" Elder Zhou Heng's sharp shout jolted him awake. This was far beyond Su Chuan's current comprehension. The tablet was crafted by the first Holy Master, a powerhouse at the Emperor's senior realm, using divine chaos stone. The characters themselves, Tai, were carved by him, each stroke imbued with his profound understanding of the Tao. Even cultivators in the reincarnation realm could get lost in it, let alone Su Chuan, who was barely at the Qi realm. Snapping back to reality, Su Chuan felt a wave of fear wash over him. For a moment, he'd been on the verge of being obliterated by that terrifying Tao essence. "Thank you for the warning, Elder." Su Chuan bowed respectfully. Then, focusing his mind, he stopped gawking around. Everything here was too dangerous. It truly was the Holy Land's core. Elder Zhou Heng nodded and led him into the main hall. Inside, 9 figures, men, women, and even children, stood on either side. These were clearly the masters of the Holy Land's 9 peaks. Each one radiated an overwhelming aura, and Su Chuan struggled to even stand under the pressure. At the head of the hall sat a young man, eyes closed in concentration. He seemed utterly ordinary, emitting no detectable energy. Su Chuan instantly recognized him as the Holy Lord of the Holy Land. He was much younger than Su Chuan had expected. Despite his youth, the Holy Lord was the strongest person in the Holy Land. He was the only person in the entire eastern region to have reached the half-emperor realm, just one step away from breaking through to the emperor's senior realm. Thanks to his leadership, Tai Holy Land held the top spot in the entire eastern region. "Greetings, Holy Master, and greetings to all the peak masters." Su Chuan bowed respectfully to them all. He had a pretty good idea why Elder Zhou Heng had brought him here. Traditionally, every true disciple would be taken on by a master, either an elder from the Holy Land or one of the peak masters. It was clear that they were looking for a peak master to take him as a disciple. Su Chuan couldn't help but feel excited. Even among true disciples, there was a huge difference between being a disciple of a peak master and just being an elder's disciple. As Su Chuan bowed, the peak masters sized him up. "Excellent bones, rich aura, not bad, not bad. Hidden Tao essence, fierce yuan power. Could he be practicing some special skill? Exceptional demeanor, unfazed by praise or criticism. This kind of character isn't ordinary. What a fine young man. He really did break the record of entering the tower, that the peak masters all nodded, having heard about Su Chuan's record-breaking feat in the Naki realm. After seeing him in person, they were even more impressed. At that moment, the Holy Lord opened his eyes, and a beam of golden light shot out, engulfing Su Chuan. In an instant, the Holy Lord saw everything about him, with no secrets left hidden. The golden light faded, and a flicker of surprise crossed the Holy Lord's face. "No need for formalities," he said. "Rise." "Yes, sir." Su Chuan stood up. The Holy Lord continued, "As the top performer in this assessment and a record breaker, you can be considered a worthy successor to our Holy Land. You probably know why I brought you here, but what I didn't expect was that you were the one who caused the vision that day." The peak masters exchanged surprised glances. They'd spent days searching for the source of the vision, but had come up empty. Just when they were about to give up, the Holy Lord revealed that this kid was responsible. Of course they would be surprised, but now that they knew, it made sense. How could the top performer not be special? They looked at Su Chuan with even more approval. Su Chuan wasn't too surprised. If the Holy Land's strongest man couldn't see through that, his half-emperor realm cultivation would be a joke. Besides, Su Chuan never intended to hide anything. Showing greater potential was the only way to get better training. That was the path to progress. You've made a qualitative leap in your cultivation in such a short time, and you've caused such visions. You must have your own unique opportunities, but that's fine. Every genius has his secrets. The Holy Land won't pry. You don't have to worry. The Holy Master said. Disciple understands. Su Chuan nodded. If the Holy Land started snatching away its disciples' opportunities, it wouldn't last long. Now, you may choose one of them to be your master, and you will become a true disciple. With that, the Holy Master closed his eyes again, radiating composure. The peak masters stared at Su Chuan even more intensely. Each of them hoped that Su Chuan would choose them. What a fine young man. Hunyang Peak hasn't had a true disciple in ages. How about joining my sect, Su Chuan? A white-haired old man spoke kindly. What are you talking about, old manly? This kid's energy is so fiery, he's a perfect fit for Liang Peak. I think this young man has extraordinary understanding and is more suitable for Qinyang Peak. That's a load of bull. I called dibs first. Anyone who tries to steal him from me will have to answer to me. You shameless old man, why do you think you get to call dibs first? Before Su Chuan could make a choice, the peak masters started arguing over him. It was true that Su Chuan's talent had reached new heights after integrating the lotus seeds of creation. When he grew up, he would definitely become a powerhouse, and that was connected to how the resources were allocated amongst the peaks, so they had to fight for him. The only peak master who hadn't joined the fray finally spoke up. Alright, do you really think you look like peak masters right now? We're arguing back and forth, but shouldn't we consider the young man's opinion? After getting scolded by this peak master, the arguing peak masters fell silent, mainly because he was the strongest among them and a master swordsman. No one dared mess with him. Kid, I see you also practice swordsmanship. Why don't you come to my Xinyang Peak? I haven't had a disciple in years, and I don't know who to pass my swordsmanship on to. Su Chuan's eyes lit up when he heard this peak master speak. He'd heard a bit about this peak master. His name was Situlin, the master of Xinyang Peak. He was obsessed with the art of the sword and indifferent to everything else. That was why his cultivation was considered the strongest below the Holy Lord. He had reached the peak of Tongtian realm. They said he had a strange temper and was hard to communicate with. No one had ever heard of him wanting to take on a disciple. For years, Xinyang Peak hadn't had a single true disciple, but today, he was offering Su Chuan an olive branch. He was very surprised. He also got word from Su Chen that a piece of opportunity was right on Xinyang Peak. Immediately, he made a decision. He said, "Thank you for your consideration, Peak Masters. I've decided to join Xinyang Peak and learn swordsmanship from Peak Master Situlin." Su Chuan had thought it through. Since he was joining Xinyang Peak as the chief disciple, and there were no other disciples, wouldn't that mean all the resources would be used on him? What else was there to consider? Ha ha ha. Good, good, Situ Lin said good 3 times in a row. He was clearly very happy with Su Chuan's choice. From today on, you will be my only true disciple of Xinyang Peak. Come with me. That he immediately whisked Su Chuan away, afraid he would change his mind. Su Chuan's mouth twitched. What about having a weird temper and being hard to communicate with? It was really misleading. For a moment, Su Chuan wondered if he'd made the right decision, and that was that, amidst the sighs of the other peak masters, Su Chuan was taken away by Situ Lin. Chapter 029. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The seed of murder. Before you could burn a single incense stick, Situ Lin whisked Su Chuan away to Xinyang Peak, one of the Holy Land's 9 peaks. Xinyang Peak, nestled east around the main peak, partway up, a simple sign proclaimed its name in bold characters, True Yang Peak. Further up was the summit, where the main hall stood. The vital energy of heaven and earth was potent here. Even at the base, the concentration felt like the training room Su Chuan used to rent. That training room had a spirit-gathering array to amplify the natural energies, yet, here on the peak, aside from basic defensive formations, there was no such array. Su Chuan was impressed. Clearly, becoming one of the Holy Land's 9 peaks was no ordinary feat. Just arriving here, Su Chuan felt a sense of clarity. The only downside. The place felt deserted. Besides the main temple, there wasn't another building in sight, and in all that time, he hadn't seen a soul. Situ Lin, noticing Su Chuan's confusion, chuckled. It's just you and me up here. I've been alone on this peak for ages. The other elders and disciples live halfway down, rarely visiting the top. Now that you're my disciple, you'll live here with me. Yes, master. Su Chuan replied respectfully. He was settled. Despite the isolation, Su Chuan had always preferred peace, and Xinyang Peak seemed to offer just that. I usually retreat in the temple. If you need me, come find me there. Pick a spot for yourself and have the construction hall disciples build you a cave, then move some spiritual veins and set up spirit gathering in defensive formations. There's a stone wall on the back mountain where I used to practice swordsmanship. Check it out when you have time. You might learn something. Situ Lin, leading the way, laid out the instructions. Su Chuan followed, taking it all in. He would be living here, after all. Arriving at the main hall, Situ Lin led Su Chuan to a place filled with ancestral tablets. These are the tablets of past masters of Xinyang Peak. Kneel. Su Chuan obeyed. Situ Lin then spoke. Honored ancestors. Situ Lin, the 80th generation master of Xinyang Peak, accept Su Chuan as my disciple today. I call upon you to witness. He bowed deeply. Su Chuan kowtowed as well. Then, he turned and bowed respectfully to Situ Lin. Master, please accept your disciple's obeisance. Good, good. From today on, you are my first disciple. I, Situ Lin, have no children. You will be my heir. Overjoyed, Situ Lin repeated his welcome. Then, he produced 3 items from his storage ring, a talisman, a pill, and a golden token. Your sword is quite impressive, but it's hidden. I won't gift you a sword. This talisman contains my strongest attack, a safeguard for you. This elixir, a recovery pill, will instantly restore you to full strength if you're near death. I trust you'll use it wisely. As for skills and techniques, this is your true inheritance token. Take it to the inheritance tower and search for what you need. Alright, go and train. With a wave of his hand, Situ Lin dismissed Su Chuan and retreated to his cave. Watching Situ Lin's back, Su Chuan could sense his master's joy. Night fell, and the moon shone brightly. After working most of the day, Su Chuan finally settled in. He now had his own cave on True Yang Peak. Having a place to call his own was comforting. It was a deeply ingrained feeling from his past life. He didn't bother returning to his old outer sect quarters. Everything he needed was in his storage ring. After a good night's sleep, Su Chuan didn't emerge from his cave until noon. Today, he planned to visit the stone wall in the back mountain. According to what he saw, Su Chen's second lucky encounter should be here. Su Chuan stood before the stone wall, gazing at the countless blade marks etched into it. The wall was made of stubborn space rock. It was so tough that ordinary weapons couldn't leave a scratch, yet, the wall was covered in deep slashes, some seemingly bottomless. It was a testament to the strength of Xinjiang Peak's past masters. Chuan began practicing his killing sword technique at the base of the wall. He was still a novice, not yet in full control. He could accidentally injure someone if he wasn't careful. Clang. The long sword left its sheath, a dazzling light cutting through the air. Instantly, a fierce, murderous aura filled the space, mixing with a thick evil energy that chilled the air. This was the killing sword technique, killing to prevent further killing, every move filled with deadly intent. Anyone below the Naki realm would be terrified by the oppressive aura. Fortunately, only Chuan and his master were on the peak. He could practice his sword skills without fear of hurting anyone. Chuan swung his sword, again and again, his energy crashing against the stone wall, but even at full strength, he couldn't leave a mark. Chuan wasn't discouraged, he continued to swing. Time passed. Puff. A soft sound broke the air. Chuan saw a trace of his sword energy leave a shallow scratch on the wall. Then, a huge burst of sword energy erupted from the wall and shot toward Chuan, as if anticipating this. Chuan dodged the attack. The energy struck the ground. A gully, dozens of yards long, tore across the earth. It was a demonstration of the sword energy's power, however, that it was only the beginning. More and more sword energy exploded from the wall, attacking Chuan relentlessly. Bring it on. Chuan met the assault, raising his killing sword. He deflected the attacks. He became increasingly skilled at using the killing sword technique. Finally, a burst of sword energy, stronger than anything before, blasted from the wall. Kill. Chuan braced himself for a serious fight, focusing all his energy. His sea of chi surged, and blood rushed to his sword-wielding hands. Break. Chuan poured every ounce of his strength into the killing sword technique, and his deadly sword energy collided with the blinding attack. Boom. Like a thunderclap, the explosion echoed through the back mountain. Every plant around Chuan instantly disintegrated. Chuan's eyes lit up. He was radiating an arrogant, unrestrained energy that threatened to destroy the heavens and the earth. In the moment he faced the last wave of energy, Chuan realized the true meaning of the sword techniques practiced by past masters. Drawing on these insights, he finally grasped his own sword intent, the killing sword intent. From that point on, every swing of his blade would be imbued with this murderous will. Faced with this killing intent, break it or perish beneath it. That was the overwhelming power of the killing sword intent. Having understood the killing sword intent, Chuan's strength had undergone a tremendous change. If he encountered that figure again, Chuan was confident he would not survive 5 moves. He would become another soul claimed by his sword. No wonder it's said that only those who understand the true meaning are truly strong. Now I get it. Chuan was thrilled with this opportunity. The emergence of the killing sword intent made up for his previous shortcomings. Chapter 030. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen's defection. Outside the main gate was a cave. Inside, Chen was going berserk, hacking and smashing everything in sight, a raging beast with bloodshot eyes. So what if he got second place and became an inner disciple? It was nothing compared to Chuan becoming a true disciple. The recent assessment had been brutal, pushing him to the edge. He blamed it all on Chuan, every single bit of it. He wanted to destroy Chuan, torture him until he begged for death. Only then could he erase the humiliation, but he wouldn't get the chance. Chuan was now a true disciple, a figure on a pedestal. He was just a regular inner disciple, the gap between them a chasm. This difference fueled his hatred. Mine. It should all be mine. It's all you. You stole everything from me. I'm going to kill you. I will kill you. Chen roared in the cave, a wounded animal. Jealousy had completely consumed him. Then, a seductive voice slithered into his ears. Do you want revenge? Do you want to take back what's rightfully yours? That Chuan is a nobody. He doesn't have your talent. He must have cheated. Who's there? Who's talking? Chen snapped to attention, scanning the cave. Don't worry about who I am. I can give you revenge. I can even make you a holy son, lord of the Holy Land. Are you willing? The voice tempted him further, preying on his hatred. He couldn't resist. quickly succumbing to the lure. I want revenge. I want to kill Chuan. Tell me what to do. That his mind was gone. Just betray the Holy Land, and you'll gain power beyond your wildest dreams, that the voice dripped with promise. Betray the Holy Land. Under the voice's influence, Chuan slipped away under the cover of night, killing the outer sect disciples on patrol and defecting. Meanwhile, Chuan had spent 10 days at the back mountain stone wall, mastering the true meaning of the sword. He told his master he was heading down the mountain and left for the Holy Land mission hall. His goal was to seize Chuan's third opportunity, the complete Xianyangju. Without the follow-up techniques, he couldn't break through. Switching to another technique wasn't an option. Even if he could find another heaven-level skill, a long shot, it would damage his martial arts foundation. He had to get that opportunity. Now that he was a true disciple, he needed a valid reason to leave the Holy Land. Otherwise, they wouldn't let him. It was a form of protection for their top disciples, so he was going to take on a mission. Inside the mission hall, inner disciples were mostly turning in assignments. True disciples rarely came here. Did you hear? Chuan, the guy who came in second during the outer sect exam, defected. What happened? Tell me everything. I heard he couldn't handle Chuan becoming a true disciple, so he killed the patrol guards and ran off in the middle of the night. That the second Chuan walked in, he overheard the news about Chuan. It immediately caught his attention, but just as he was about to ask what happened, the whole hall erupted. It's true disciple Su. Is that really him? He's so handsome. I hope I get to meet him. Chuan was confused by the sudden commotion. News of his promotion to true disciple had spread like wildfire. Almost everyone knew who he was. As soon as he walked in, he was recognized. People were offering compliments and flattering him, trying to keep things from escalating. Chuan said, "You don't need to do that. Just call me Senior Brother Su." He waved his hand, gently asking the crowd to disperse. Then he asked the two inner disciples he'd overheard earlier, "Excuse me, what were you guys talking about? Who defected?" The disciples were stunned that Chuan was talking to them. He was so friendly, not like the other true disciples who were arrogant, flattered. They said, "Senior Brother Su, haven't you heard? Last night, Chuan, the guy who got second place in the outer sect exam, went crazy. He killed several patrolling disciples and defected. He even left a message saying he'll get revenge on you. Like he could. He should take a good look in the mirror." Chuan frowned. He hadn't expected Chuan to betray the Holy Land, and threaten revenge. Having an enemy like that running around wasn't good. He'd been planning to eliminate him, but he escaped first. Figures. But then Chuan shrugged it off. Let him run. With his system and the resources available to him as a true disciple, he'd only get stronger. A traitor like Chuan couldn't possibly compare. He'd deal with it when the time came. He just hoped Chuan wouldn't be foolish enough to come back, because next time, it would be the end of the line. With that, Chuan's frown disappeared. He had to get his hands on the Xianyangju. That was the priority. He headed straight to the mission assignment desk. The deacon in charge of the desk saw Chuan and immediately ushered him into the quiet room behind the hall. Offering tea, he asked respectfully, "What brings true disciple Su here today?" "I've had some insights during my recent training and decided to leave the Holy Land to see if I can break through and train in a few things," Chuan replied with his prepared excuse. "I see. Please wait a moment. I'll bring the latest missions for you to review." The deacon didn't ask any further questions and soon returned with a stack of mission slips. Chuan flipped through them. He quickly found what he was looking for. Travel to the Ding'an City outpost to test the qualifications of the children of deacons assigned to the Holy Land. A pretty standard task. Disciples who felt they had no hope of advancement often became deacons assigned to various outposts of the Holy Land. If their children passed the qualification test, they could be sent directly to the Holy Land for training. The Holy Land released missions for inner disciples to test these kids every year. Ding'an City was exactly where Chuan needed to go. He immediately accepted the mission. Then he said goodbye and headed toward Ding'an City.